Good night, everyone. Good night and welcome to this, the second and final debate night being held in advance of tomorrow's annual general election to fill the positions on the Hill Guild of Students. Thank you all very much for coming tonight. Tonight you will have the opportunity to hear from the candidates for the post of Vice President, Secretary, Treasurer, Union Committee Chairperson, Games Committee Chairperson, and in the second round, you will have the opportunity to hear from the candidates for the office of President. We have regrettably had to have a bit of a late start, so we'll get right into it with the opening and welcome remarks from the returning officer, Mr. Jean-Marc Asson.
Good night, everybody. Welcome to debate night number 2. Tonight you're going to hear from the candidates for Union Committee Chairperson, Games Committee Chairperson, Vice President, Secretary, Treasurer, and of course the candidates for President. Yesterday was a thrilling night of debate, as I'm sure you know, and tonight promises to be that and even more. I wish you best of luck to all the candidates that will present tonight. I ask you all, please, and I know Kenny will reiterate, if it is you have interjections after every response, after every question, we are not going to finish tonight. So if it is, you can keep the interruptions at a very minimum. We'll really appreciate that, and it will assist the night in flowing a bit more smoothly. Last point before I go, because I know you all didn't come to hear me talk. Election day tomorrow. Voting is from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. You will receive via social media, WhatsApp, and possibly in your email a listing with all the polling stations by faculty and the time that you will be allowed to vote for. Well, the time during which you'll be allowed to vote. Alright, so that's it. Again, good luck to the candidates, and I hope everybody has a wonderful night.
Thank you very much, Mr. Returning Officer. I will just briefly again go through the order for tonight. Each candidate will be given the opportunity to make brief opening remarks, no more than 4 minutes. If they speak for less than 4 minutes, that's even better for us, really. But they have up to 4 minutes, after which there will be a rapid-fire question round, where I will pose questions to them. These questions have been drawn, either generated in-house, or we have received them via the online form that you all must have seen. I should also say that the questions have not been seen extensively, so the candidates do not know the questions that will be asked. After that, there will be your opportunity to ask questions during audience question time. And there will be a microphone posted right here to my right, to your left, and you will approach the microphone, approach one of the officers of the elections office before asking your question, but that will come in time. And so there is not much else for me to say at this juncture except to remind you and to reiterate what the returning officer said. Today, we want to be able to get through quite a few things, very important business, and we will only be able to do that with your cooperation. And so, when candidates are responding to questions, after they have finished responding to questions, while the questions are being asked, I crave your indulgence, please, to be as orderly and as quiet as possible so that we can proceed through and we do not have some of the interruptions which we had to enjoy yesterday. And without more, I want to remind you again that there is to be no eating or drinking in the lecture theatre. I want to remind you of that again, not that I'm sure that you don't need reminding of that. And so part one will involve the candidates for Vice President, Secretary, Treasurer, Union Committee Chairperson, and Games Committee Chairperson. And so we will get right to it now. I invite first the candidate for Vice President, I invite first the candidate for candidate for the position of secretary, the candidate for the position of secretary, the candidate for the position of secretary, Mr. Tevin Cole. Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Cole. The candidate for the position of treasurer, Mr. Gideon George. The penultimate person, the candidate for Union Committee Chairperson, Mr. Paul Thompson. And last but by no means least, the candidate for the position of Games Committee Chairperson, Mr. Javon Andrews. Thank you. Welcome all. As I said a moment ago, for your opening speeches, you will have up to 4 minutes within which to make your opening remarks. And so we invite the first candidate out of the gate, the candidate for the position of Vice President, Ms. Emily Williams.
A Caricom lioness forever on the rise. Complacency should never be the mindset of a leader. There's always an avenue open for progression. How do you do it? How do you stay positive and passionate? 2 frequent questions I've been asked throughout this campaign season. Truthfully, I have no idea. It's just a matter of going for what I want and ensuring that it is something I will enjoy even in the midst of chaos. Good evening, everyone. My name is Emily Williams, also known as MVP, a Jamaican, a Sherlockite, a cultural fanatic, and a young female who has taken steps to immerse herself in the legal sphere of society. Most importantly, she, as in me, is a lioness forever on the rise. What is my roar? My roar is my personality, responsible, optimistic, accountable, and respectful. My roar is my laugh you will hear miles away. Many call it a roaring engine. My roar is my vibe. My roar is my stance and my guide to unite and help the campus to be a better place. A lioness forever on the rise. Reigniting. Brethren, may we look on this at the perspective of an aspiring med student. Imagine sitting through 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. classes, switching between campus and clinicals, but you never got that white coat. You're a student, but are you truly integrated into the medical community? Personally, I would have vexed. That is the same concept here. We all come and we all know we're students, but what percentage of the population knows that they are blackbirds, that they belong to a community that pushes and forces excellence, not only academically, but personally? A lioness forever on the rise. Organization. What if we all sat like we're doing right now with no desire to progress? If Gian moves right now and says, who's coming with me? His friends would budge, and his friends' friends would budge, but only 65% of that population may love the destination and find a passion there. The reality is that's how society works today. We're at a stage where we realistically can't find solutions for the worldwide issues, but the least that we can do as young adults is stand in solidarity. But one person has to decide to make that shift in their seat of complacency, and that's me. Applying learned skills to benefit the community. X equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. People, I have never utilized that equation since I left CSEC. And even if I did, I can't remember. What if we brought all we learned outside into our community? We learned the importance of our environment. We learned that different personalities exist and some are unable to help themselves. I'm planning to unite the campus and build a community that holds strength in society. And with this, we need to move instead of remaining stagnant. A lioness forever on the rise. Restructure. Have y'all ever seen a lion pull something together? Better yet, pull people together? Let's think about Narnia. Aslan. That lion pulled a community together with his claw only. Honestly, this takes strategy. And I believe I not only have the traits of a lioness to do this, but I will be awarded a receptive community. If we start at the head, it will trickle down. That's my vision. That's my plan. A lioness forever on the rise. Now I want you guys to vote because you listened. You feel that if you roar with me, your roar will be noticed as well. I don't like promises, it's probably because I didn't get that chocolate cake from my dad, but also because circumstances can come along that makes the failure of a promise inevitable. And that's the truth. But if you like promises, I can promise you this. I will be the best vice president I can push myself to be. I let passion decide my leadership journey. And you can only assume one thing from this statement. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Williams. Next, we have the candidate for secretary, Mr. Kevin Cole. Mr. Cole.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed viewers and executive members of the Guild of Students. My name is Kevin Cole, and I'm honored to stand before you today as our candidate for Guild Secretary. I believe that I am the best person for the position, and I want to tell you why. Just like my intro, let me quench your curiosity as I stand before you and tell you how I intend to bring storm to our campus. First and foremost, I want you to know that I have a deep passion for the needs of my fellow Blackbirds. Throughout the last few weeks, I have had an extremely insightful time campaigning to many of you. By doing so, I have gained the unique perspectives as to what makes us who we are. I know that I can use my experience and knowledge to make a real difference among us. Through Blackbird development workshops and a need, which is a need that many of you have expressed to us. Secondly, I have a track record of effective leadership and communication. As a member of various clubs and societies on campus, I've had the opportunity to meet many of you in many different capacities. Some of you have even challenged me in many ways. I want you to see the evolution of these clubs and societies to become even better than they currently are, because I want to increase their integration within the Guild Council. Thirdly, I have a strong commitment to transparency and accountability. If elected as our secretary, I will continue to work tirelessly to ensure that all members of the Guild Council are kept accountable, and by expanding the public document archive, you will all know what we are doing. I believe that it is important that for all members that feel as if their voice is heard, and I'm committed to ensuring that everyone has a seat at the table. Finally, I believe that I have the vision and creativity needed to help the Guild move forward in a positive direction. I intend to continue to lend my support to many facets of the Guild in their endeavors, because I believe in their goal, I believe in our goal, and I believe in your goal. I'm excited to work with many members of the Guild Council to turn their ideas into reality. In conclusion, I believe that I'm the best candidate for the position of secretary because I'm passionate to see us develop. I'm committed to transparency and accountability, and I'm ready to lead. I want to see us achieve our vision of creativity. And I thank you this afternoon for your time as I look forward to serving us as our Guild Secretary.
We move along swiftly to our candidate, for the candidate for the position of treasurer, Mr. Gideon Jor.
Good evening, Blackbirds. Water by its very essence is transformative, all-consuming, and all-sustaining. A wave is the fluidity of water. Here, it is the fluidity of transformation. Blackbirds, today I come before you a humble servant, asking you to let me guide you through the ebb and flow of change. As famously orated by William Shakespeare, there is a tide in the affairs of men, which taken at the flood, leads on to fortune. Welfare, associations, ventures, entrepreneurship, scholarships. These are the forces by which we will champion a new era for the K-Ville campus. What can we build without support? What can we build without camaraderie? A lonesome captain cannot steer a ship. I hope by now that you have all heard the mandates that I have campaigned on. Tonight, I have made it my obligation to address you on the pillars on which I stand and to declare to you my moral position to ensure the best possible financial position for the Guild of Students. I stand for independence of the Financial Committee, honesty, integrity, accurate record keeping, communication to the student body, and accountability. As your next treasurer, the policies and mandates that I intend to execute encompass individual accountability of each Guild councillor, clauses for financial management in the Guild's Code of Conduct, and the privacy of our student body. The goal is to curb financial misconduct and to create an environment of support for our clubs and associations and student entrepreneurs. As a campus that preaches service above self, we must ensure that we carry out service in a way that is productive and meaningful. To you, fellow wavemakers, I make a pledge. I pledge to dedicate my service and experience to your betterment. I pledge to make your welfare a priority. I pledge to enforce accountability at all levels of the Guild's finances. I pledge to support you. Yes, you, associations, our clubs, our entrepreneurs, students, all Blackbirds. I pledge unto you a level of service that reflects transformation. I pledge to you to hold your hand as we ride the wave. K-Ville, come out in your numbers and vote for a new era. In that booth, do not just contemplate what I plan to do for you, but consider the principles upon which I make my decisions. Remember the values I hold as a man. K-Ville, it is time to lodge your trust with George.
Thank you. Next, we have the candidate for Union Committee Chairperson, Mr. Paul Thompson.
First, let us start by wishing the members of the Guild, the audience, those that are online joining us, a pleasant night. Some of you may know me as the treasurer of the Economic Students Association. Some of you may know me as the current deputy UCC. Some of you may even know me as Paul number 2. But by the end of the night, you will know me as Paul Thompson, the #1 man for the job, for Union Committee Chairperson. If you were to Google the meaning of my name, it would tell you small and humble. And as you can see, the name suits me. Tonight, I come to you as your humble servant, willing to serve you in the capacity of Union Committee Chairperson. A team of my campaign is paving the way forward, as I see myself as a role model to inspire persons who may want to take up the helm after me, just as I was inspired by the great line UCCs such as Will Rich, Manny Bradford, and Paul Miller. I intend to continue the great legacy in which they have cemented. The mandates that we're discussing tonight are not merely a to-do list, but a roadmap to the goals we will achieve on our journey to elevate the Union Committee even higher than what Mr. Miller has already achieved in his tenure. I come to you as your tour guide, guiding us through these paths.
So let us discuss our first topic, that is the expansion and strengthening of the sponsorships and partnerships, that is through reaching out to various organizations to provide incentives and funding. Next is the Give Back stop, where we aim to provide more give back opportunities to local students, such as a chance to gain bartending experience behind the Guild Bar, and also other avenues which I intend to implement. Last but most certainly not least, on our path is the Guild Beautification and Revitalization Project, where I intend to bring back the light to the Guild Lounge and the Andrew Rose building, giving it a fresh and more welcoming look through creating a mural of the different islands and also academic associations on campus to show the great diversity here that we have at Cato. Along this journey, I have met a lot of great persons along the way, and this is my opportunity to represent and give back to you. A vote for me is a vote for the people, and Paul we trust.
We will now hear from the Games Committee Chairperson candidate, Mr. Javon and
Mic check, 1, 2. Members of the Guild Election Office, current Guild councillors, fellow candidates, and you, Guild of Students, good evening. It is with great pride and humility that I, Javon Andrew, stand here before you tonight, prepared to offer myself for service as your next Games Committee Chairperson. As a student and as a sport and games representative of the Grenada Student Association here at Cato, I've had the opportunity to participate in and be a part of the planning and execution of various sporting activities across campus for the past year. It has essentially groomed me and equipped me with the necessary skills to navigate the challenges that the Office of Games Committee Chairperson may present to me. Having said this, I've reflected and constructed 4 very practical and realistic mandates that I'd like to execute over the upcoming academic year. Number 1 of those mandates is the return of the inter-house sporting competition under the theme Battle of the Blackbirds. The aim of this mandate is to revitalize the housing system where the likes of Lewis House, Princess Alice House, Arlene House, Wooding House, and Rampal House will all have the opportunity to showcase their sporting prowess over a week of sporting and gaming activities. This venture will also provide the avenue for promotion of campus-wide values of integration and inclusion. Number 2, a Freshers Week hike under the name Get to Know Barbados. A national site of attraction here in Barbados will be selected for new as well as current students to hike to with an aim of getting the new students acclimatized with their new home, as well as giving them the opportunity to establish newfound and useful relationships along the hike trail. It will also give you, the students, an opportunity and a chance to experience the natural beauty Barbados has to offer. Number 3 is the continuation of the Guild Fit program. The main goal of this program is to host monthly aerobics and yoga sessions, which will serve as a distressing tool for you, the students, as well as to encourage a healthy lifestyle by remaining physically active. And number 4, but by no means least, the sports clubs community. It is my intention to create a WhatsApp community in which all sporting clubs, teams, and societies across campus will be hosted in a specific community where information regarding these specific groups will be readily accessible to you, the students, and even the incoming students as well. My fellow colleagues, I stand here ready to accept the role as your next GCC. I stand here more than ready to advocate for your rights and your needs. I stand here ready to serve you with integrity, transparency, and accountability to ensure, brothers and sisters, that as one flies, all soars. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Andrew. And thank you to all the candidates. Now we've heard their opening statements. We move now swiftly into the quick fire question round. Ladies and gentlemen, I can have your attention, please, as we move into the second part of the night. My first question is for the candidate for Vice President, and certainly it is a question that came up yesterday also. What is driving you to put yourself up for service as Vice President at this time, Ms. Williams?
Thank you for that question. I would say what is mainly driving me is my passion. I really do have a passion for culture, and as someone who has been involved in extracurricular activities all her life, I know what it means to feel to be a part of a community and to just get development professionally and personally, and this is something I would like to be able to help the presidents to foster among the student population.
Thank you very much. The same question from Mr. George. Mr. George,
Same question.
same question. What is driving you to want to put yourself up for service as president this time?
All right, thank you. I've been involved in extracurricular activities since I know myself, primary school, secondary school, college, university. I've been a part of extracurricular activities. I'm passionate about service and serving others. Whatever it might be, it does not have to be a position in the foreground. It could be something in the background. I'm there to help and to serve and see how I can help the students benefit.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson, what makes you unique, a similar question, what makes you uniquely qualified to serve as Union Committee Chairperson, should you be successful?
I would say what makes me really qualified is the mere fact that I've been serving on the board for a little while now, currently deputy UCC, so therefore I know the ins and outs of the main functions of the UCC, and also I got a chance to hear some of the demands and needs of the students, so therefore I would personally be able to help to serve them and represent them to the best of my abilities.
Thank you. Mr. Cole, what is driving you to want to put yourself up for service again this time as secretary?
So what is driving me to represent again in the position of secretary is representation. The most important thing to me is to be here, to have a voice and to make a change. Representation has been something that has been extremely important to me growing up, because without representation, I would not have been here today. I would not have come to the University of the West Indies Cape Town to achieve my dreams. And through representation, I believe that we all have the ability to make a change. And in doing so, I feel as if that's something that I would like to continue to do, because I see so much opportunity among our blackbirds today.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. Mr. Andrew, what are your unique qualifications in the job of Games Committee Chairperson?
Well, first off, I have had the experience of working in many different student leadership positions back at my primary school, well, not primary school, but secondary school, as well as my community college. I am a very enthusiastic person as it comes to sports. I'm very passionate about it. I am an athlete, so as it relates to sport and anything physical activity-wise, I am very passionate about it, and I am prepared to advocate for you, the students here at Cable Campus, as it relates to anything sporting.
Thank you. Mr. George, you'll lead off the second round of questions. The question reads, what are your plans to maintain public confidence in the transparent management of the Guild's financial affairs?
Oh, good question.
Thank you for that question. I think maintaining the public's confidence.
Just a moment, Mr. George, if we can have, once again, some quiet in the room so we can hear Mr. George.
Thank you for the question. I would say that maintaining the public's confidence, it starts by communicating firstly, ensuring that they are privy to the documents that they are supposed to be privy to. So when we're presenting financial reports, ensuring that they have the documents for at least 2 weeks before the AGM so that they can peruse it, make sure that it's well explained so that everyone can understand, and also putting concrete measures in place to deal with misappropriation and theft.
Thank you, Mr. George. Mr. Cole, one of the mandates you identified clarified relates to your public document archive. Can you expand on those plans for us?
Sure. So, for many of you who don't know, an initiative that I started this year was a public document archive, whereby students, new, old, past, graduated or not, has access to all pertinent documents as it relates to the Guild of Students. That includes financial documentation, the presentation of mandates from all councillors, meeting minutes, and just general, the links to live streams and such, which makes it available for students to access at any given time. To this day, it continues to be one of the most used documents, linked to the link tree, because I realize that students really like that opportunity to be able to always see into what the Guild is doing for them. It's never a wonder of what is my representative doing for me, or what should my representative be doing for me, because I always know and I always have access to that.
Thank you. Ms. Williams, should you be successful, one of the key roles of the Vice President is with regard to the ICC. Can you tell us a bit about your plans for the ICC?
Thank you so much for that question. So this question is actually geared towards my major mandate, which is a restructuring of the approach to the presidents of the ICC, which is the inter-club community. So all the island associations that you see under clubs of society like Debate and Rotaract, I would act in an advisory capacity. What I want to do is take a more hands-on approach, and in an effort to unite the campus, allow them to have more collaborative events so it can reach a larger scale. And this is something that we have to start at the head. And of course, we have to have a president's retreat, professional development seminars, and also monthly updates so I can actually give them the advice that they need, seeing that I have had a lot of experience in planning events and doing initiatives here at K-Club.
What are your, let's say, your top 3 priorities should you be successful as Games Committee Chairperson?
Well, first of all, most of them lie within my mandates. I think one of the most important aspects that I want to get covered is re-establishing the inter-house sports for sure. I know OSS has played a part in creating difficulty in being able to re-establish it, and that, trust me, provided that I get into office, is one of the first things that I'm prepared to do to make sure that we definitely have inter-house sports come the next academic year. Another one of the priorities is to create better. I want to have the focus be on the freshers, because to be very honest with you, as a student that started UE, it was quite difficult for me finding what sports, the sports group that I was interested in, right? So I want to create that avenue where it is the new students, while settling, is not even more challenging for them to have access to the different sports clubs and societies that they may be interested in. Hence the reason why I decided to come up with the Sports Clubs and Societies Committee, which is geared towards helping them get access to those different groups.
Thank you very much. Mr. Thompson, one of your mandates has been with regard to beautifying the Guild Lounge. Can you expand on that a little bit?
So part of that is to, like, as everybody knows, first, I couldn't send in my campaign in one campus. First impression mean a lot. So therefore I wanted went to tourists from the campus, have a more comfortable place to sit and relax. Also I wanted to look at the definition of my open features in rural, which should be on campus. Also I like to replace or to rehost a lounge area so that even after hours students will come and sections open 24 hours, have a place to come and study for hours, it's not machine here, drink machine, there's some things that students will come all the time and know that they can be comfortable.
Thank you very much. Mr. George, one of the questions that we have here, how confident are you that you can perform this role with integrity, and what are your plans, more importantly, for increasing accountability?
Thank you very much. I think that I'm very comfortable with the role. I've been a treasurer of an association for the past 3 academic tenures, twice on BENSAC, and I'm currently the treasurer of the Cable Association of Postgraduate Students. And I think that accountability will start with us as student leaders. So I'm definitely going to ensure that there's going to be an agreement by which any financial misappropriation by a guild councillor, that they are held liable, that they're going to have to sign that agreement when they come into office, as in accordance with the guild code of conduct. And if any such misappropriation happens, we are going to ensure that it's treated with the highest degree of seriousness as if it were a criminal activity, because it is. It is. So that's how I think I would go about ensuring that accountability is.
What do you think is the most important duty or obligation, challenge facing an incoming guild council?
Thank you for that question. Well, as a past guild council, I can say not past. I hear now. Apologies. The most challenging thing I'm going to say, you can't please everybody. And even though you put your best foot forward each and every time, you will always have one receptive person. So that is my way of looking past that challenge, because persons will come back and say, but you did not help me with this specific thing. But you're like, what about the other 5 things? And it can be really daunting as guild councillors, but at the same time, you just have to remember why you started and what is the end goal. So that's why I say we can have a problem in the future, but it will be for the betterment of not only you, but for the student body.
Mr. Cole, this question came in from the forum. Can you provide a concrete example of how you intend to utilize your skills for the betterment of the guild and the guild council and the guild of students?
Sure. So currently in my capacity as a public relations officer, many of you would have interacted with me in some capacity on campus. The way that I interact with people is I'm very open to having my perspective change, but I'm also open to just about pulling any conversation that somebody may have. I think that's a useful skill because when in need, the guild council always needs student feedback or suggestions, or as it relates to changes that affect Blackburns. And that's something that I would have campaigned on in my during my last tenure that I'm currently still operating in, and have seen a lot of improvement and reception to. And that's something that I will continue to do as I intend to see the upliftment and the development of the guild council.
Thank you very much. I take the opportunity to remind you that we are very fast approaching audience question time, and so you can begin to formulate your questions and join the line as we will be heading there very shortly. The next question I have is for Mr. Thompson. This question also came into the forum. Seeing that the role of the union committee chairperson tends to be the person set a 24-hour job, what is a strategy or what are the strategies that you will use to complete your tasks effectively and efficiently?
As you know, as union committee chairperson, I have a team behind me. Also, I would like to use the help of the student volunteers to also build more of my power on the committee. So therefore, it won't be just me alone working in the capacity of union committee chairperson. So therefore, when I'm not there, there are other persons on the team that will also take a role and fill in for when I'm not able to be there physically. But everybody will get to chip in and do their part. So it won't be a burden or pain in my mind.
Thank you, Mr. Andrew. How do you plan to include those students who do not fully study on main campus in your initiatives?
Well, in order to first of all, the approach is to ensure that all students here present physically at campus are catered for. As for those who are not, that would obviously mean that there's some kind of relation that needs to be had with those persons off of the campus. definitely there will be a plan to make sure that there are those established connections and whatever it is we can do. At the end of the day, I think the most important thing is advocacy, and that is something that I'm very much prepared to bring to the table. So whatever it takes, whether it is meetings, I just want to make sure that there is an established relationship between those persons that are off campus. That bridge will be, a gap, sorry, will be bridged, and they will have some form of representation.
Mr. Cole, if you're elected, you will have to operate not only as a representative, if you're elected, you will have to operate within the larger ecosystem of the Guild Council. And the question asks, how do you handle inevitable conflicts which may sometimes arise in any organization?
Thank you for the question. So, as it relates to conflicts within organizations, I think that it is an inevitable part of being a part of student organization, because you definitely have conflicting personalities at times. However, the way that I have gone about dealing with conflict in the class has been through tried and true way, which is communication. Most of you would know that I am one of the, if not one of the easiest persons to come and approach and talk to. I might look a little scary when I'm walking around campus. My mind always somewhere else, but I haven't been approached by so many people, like by communicating what the problem is entirely and coming to an understanding as to where the person's perspective is coming from and explaining what the Guild Council on a whole need of them. I believe that I could de-escalate any positions where escalation of conflict arises and diffuse the situation further.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson, the same question for you. You will have to operate within the larger ecosystem of the Guild Council. So what is your approach to handling the kinds of inevitable conflicts that arise in any organization?
All conflict needs to be, all it means is listening here. Anything we can resolve. We just need to hear both sides and then work on the suitable approach. Sometimes it may not be something that we need to punish people, we just need to talk to them, motivate them on how they can become a better person and help them to work on things that they need to improve themselves.
Thank you very much. I take the opportunity to remind you that we're very, very shortly coming to audience questions, so please approach one of the members of the committee and begin to line up so that we can get in your audience questions very, very shortly. And I'm also directed to remind you that the room is a no consumption of anything room. Thank you very much for your cooperation. Ladies and gentlemen, if we can have your attention again, please. Mr. George, are you able to give us an overview? The question reads, of the financial and accounting standards, procedures, practices of the Guild, and do you foresee any challenges in accessing funding given the foregoing?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Of course. Can you give us an overview of the financial or accounting standards, procedures, and practices of the Guild and the university, if you're aware, and do you foresee any challenges in accessing funding given the foregoing?
All right, thank you very much for that question. Now, in terms of the financial processes, as we know, with the recent activities, the process has changed. So, for example, say that you're an island association and you're requesting your subvention, you would have to first budget within your inner organization. Then you would apply through the Guild Treasurer and the VP, who would then send it to the office manager, which is Ms. Senhouse. She would have to approve it and then send it to OSS. OSS would then have to approve it and then they would communicate to the boss, who would then issue the check. Now, as it concerns gaining funding, I think that could be a question that can go two ways. Now, firstly, I think effective communication with administration is what is going to help us get funding flowing easily, and also speaking to organizations that may be willing to assist the Guild of Students with any initiative that may arise. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This round is from Mr. Andrew. The question asks, do you have any plans for creating a diverse range of recreational activities, because you're charged constitutionally with recreational activities, Now appeal to persons who may not be interested in sports, properly so-called, or sports directly.
Right. Now to answer that question, that is exactly why it is. I was pretty clear with sports and gaming activities. So it doesn't limit it just to sporting activities. The issue of inclusion is one that I plan to promote heavily. And by doing that, I also plan to diversify the Chance of Sports Week by including a lot more of the gaming activities so that persons feel included. I don't want anybody on campus to feel, okay, we're just having the traditional sports and then persons active in the chess clubs and then the non-traditional sports are left out. So the inclusion is something that I'm really striving for as it relates to the entertainment. One of my plans, and I didn't necessarily express this in the mandates necessarily, is that I have intentions of creating entertainment here on campus through the building of an actual life-size chessboard, something like the Harry Potter style. The people who are au fait with that will know what I'm speaking about. Where it is you, the persons here, we want to have the enlarged knobs, or if it is you have a big group of persons, you can use yourself as the knobs to go ahead and play that game.
Thank you. We move now to the audience question time. So while we get the microphone set up and so on, you're reminded, ladies and gentlemen, if I can have your attention, you're reminded that the election day is tomorrow, Thursday the 16th of March. Polls open at 8 a.m. The polls on campus close at 8 p.m. So we encourage you to come out at that time. We have our first question. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay, hi, good evening. I'm directing this question to Mr. Cole, candidate for the position of Secretary. In your speech, you would have stated that you were campaigning to decade the populace over the last 3 weeks. However, the campaign period commenced on the night of February 25th, and your campaign material was not posted to social media until March 9th, which to my knowledge was 6 days ago, if I use good math. To my knowledge, I'm also unaware of whether you campaigned to individuals in person, but having lived on the circuit of Sherlock Hall with you, and even residing with you on the very same floor as of this moment, you have not said a word to me regarding your campaign. With that being said, were you in fact campaigning and making your mandates known well in advance, if at all aside from the campaign and mandate posters posted to your Instagram page?
Ladies and gentlemen, we discussed this at the beginning of the night. Ladies and gentlemen, we discussed this at the beginning of the night, and I will take the opportunity to reiterate it, that we want to get through very important business, and we can only do that with your cooperation. Please allow Mr. Cole to answer the question.
Thank you so very much, President. So many of you would have known, but would not have seen my campaign flyers until I believe it was this March 6th. And that is because I decided to take a different approach to campaigning this year. Many of you, in many of the group chats would have seen that there would have been an onslaught of spamming of campaign flyers and such. And that's something that I purposely chose not to participate in this year because I would have rather to campaign to my constituents in person, which I would have been doing for the past few weeks. The whole point of bringing my flyers at this, I would say within the last week, was because I still wanted to cater for the persons who I did not get to see, and as it relates to the persons on my call where I live and I lose them, so I would not have reached out to you personally, I would have reached out to several of you individually, but I could have done better, and I will do better going forward.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your intervention again. Sir, please go ahead.
Hi, good night.
My question is for the candidate for secretary.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, please. Yes, sir.
The office of the PRO has been unfulfilled throughout the course of the tenure. I want to know what evidence or faith do students have that you will fulfill the role of secretary, which is higher in status and level of responsibility on the Guild Council.
Let me cut you there, please. No. Let Mr. Paul answer the question. Ladies and gentlemen.
So as it relates to the Office of Public Relations not being filled throughout this tenure, I would say that is unequivocally untrue because from the onset, I believe if the past incumbent PRO better prepared me when I had reached out to have the Office of Public Relations filled, I would not have struggled as I did in the first semester. However, despite that, I would have filled my Office of Public Relations. We would have continued and implemented a lot of our mandates, and we have been recruiting students and that.
Ladies and gentlemen, please. We really have to get through. We really have to make some headway. Yes, sir.
Before I ask the question, just want to mention that had not been for the office of the PCC, the quality of the Guild Public Relations would be terribly this year. You spoke about your passion for students.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a mature institution. Please.
You spoke about your passion for student leadership and serving. However,
This question is
yes, the same candidate. You spoke about your passion for student leadership and serving. However, these words do not match the current service that you provide to students. Your duties have been often unfulfilled or fulfilled by other council members who also have their own portfolios to lead. And I ask the question, does your priorities lie with the students or elsewhere?
Thank you again for that question. So I would make it known to every member of the current theatre that the Office of Public Relations, by constitutionally, is not a position that requires prior knowledge to be what we would say a great graphic designer. Your position is to produce external resources as it relates to the Guild Council, but not only that, it goes beyond making good graphics. It goes beyond that. It talks to representing the capable body in pertinent issues as it relates to meetings. It relates to reaching out to external entities as it relates to collaborations with the Guild of Students, which I have done. It relates to working with internal departments within the University of the West Indies to ensure that our image and the way that we stay active among our social media platforms and in person is at a level that is acceptable to all.
I'm not hearing you, go ahead.
You stated in your intro that you had a deep passion for the needs of the Black group. Can you please inform me how you have catered to those needs in your previous position on the Guild Council?
Ladies and gentlemen, please.
So as it relates to how I cater to the needs of the Blackbirds and my current tenure as the public relations officer, from the onset, I would have heard the concerns of many Blackbirds stating that their problem with the Guild of Students is just like either they don't know what is going on campus, they don't care to know, they want to be involved in something, but they need that little extra push to do so. And in doing so, what I would have done is I would have collaborated with many councillors on the Guild in trying to ensure that the public relations as it relates to their events, their mandates, their activities on campus is always known by the greater community. One of the ways in which I've done so is by encouraging councillors to use the collaborative feature on Instagram at all times. Another way that I've gone about doing so is by always making myself available on campus at the very least, twice a week to inform students who are in the Guild Union about what is currently going on campus and why they should be involved. And I would say that that has really and truly been one of the ways in which I've catered to the needs of Blackbirds, and one of the ways that I want to continue doing so.
Yes, sir.
Hi, my question is for Gideon. As a finance student and an experienced treasurer, you know the importance of knowledge, understanding, and wisdom, of gaining knowledge and understanding and analyzing trends and records, of understanding them, and of creating strategies around them. Regarding the Guild's financial situation, what are some of the trends you have witnessed and the financial targets that you have set to help improve them?
Thank you for that question. I think that most recently from speaking to some of the members and some of the high-level associations and other associations, country associations, thank you very much, friend, is that a lot of associations receive their subventions late. So that's one trend that we saw may not be the fault of the current administration necessarily. However, to tackle that, I will do so by communicating with administration early. Often we hear about a war between OSS and the students. I say, no more war. Let's bring peace. Let's have communication. Let's have dialogue. Let's start talking early so that we can get things done. And also, a lot of associations usually have problems when it concerns transferring their signatories. That is why it's important to get our associations in a treasurer's group chat to start letting them know about the process and get them to transfer their signatories early so that they can budget early, so that they can apply early, so that they can get their subventions.
My question is for the candidate for Guild Vice President. All right. So anyone who knows you can see that you are clearly a dedicated and hard-working individual. Yeah. Who or what has inspired you to develop these leadership qualities?
Thank you so much for that question. I am going to lean towards the strongest person I have ever known, and that is my mom. She actually went through a lot growing up, and I have never once seen her cry. I've never once seen her falter, but I know that she puts everything on hold for me, and because of that, I have developed a passion for going outside, for leading, a passion for just involving myself so at the end of the day I can make her proud and my family proud and the persons who are looking up to me, just smiling from ear to ear. That's my daughter, Emily.
Thank you very much. We have reached the end of audience question time, and therefore, as we prepare for the closing remarks, and the room is set up for that, I take the opportunity to remind you that I take the opportunity to remind you of two important things. The first is that tomorrow we of course will have polling day. The stations on campus open at 8 a.m. They close at 8 p.m. You will get all this information communicated to you, as the returning officer said, via the usual channels. So you will see where it is that you are supposed to vote based on where you're registered, either in terms of your faculty, and for those of you who are on halls, obviously at your respective halls as well. I just want to remind you, as we prepare for these closing speeches, the candidates will have 1 minute within which to make their final pitches to you in the last few hours of this campaign season before we head into polling day. Additionally, the candidates are reminded, and their supporters, that they are to make sure that all campaign material is removed by midnight tonight. And with that, I want to invite Ms. Emily Williams. We have one more question. Excuse me a moment as we... While my colleagues confer and sort out that, I will continue to say, my apologies, Ms. Williams. I will continue to say that, as I said, all campaign material must be removed by midnight tonight as we head into election day tomorrow, so there's to be no active campaigning on election day. As we continue through the night, I want to remind you again of the decorum that is required of you, so that we can be able to get through this night as quickly as possible, and we can all go home in advance of tomorrow. Yes, Ms. Williams, the question is, what is motivating you to run for Vice President? As opposed to President. What is motivating you to run for Vice President as opposed to President?
Thank you so much for that question. I'm going to be honest with you guys. If I decided to run for president, it will be a solely political move. I'm not doubting myself or my abilities as... Thank you. I'm not doubting myself or my abilities. I know I could get the job done, but I would be a robot. I would just be operating. With the vice president position, I get to work directly with cultures. And being the past CAC and Hall Chair of Sherlock, I get to realize that culture is something I'm extremely passionate about. Like when I just came here, I stepped on somebody's toe, and I said hush, and the person was ready to fight me, and I was like, wait. In Jamaica, that means sympathy and sorry. This is something I'm really passionate about, and I feel I will operate better with my passion in vice president position.
Thank you very much, Ms. Williams. You now have the opportunity to make your closing remarks. You have 1 minute.
Thank you. So I find we have seen and we have heard enough tonight. I find I even spoke a lot. I do that a lot of times. So on that note, tomorrow when you go to the polling station, if you plan on rolling with me as your new VP, I will ensure that the mentality of a real VP and VP is not left here tonight. It will trickle down to a Caribbean community of blackbirds. Vote Emily Williams, a roaring bean ready to ignite steel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cole.
To my fellow Blackbirds, as I come to the end of my campaigning for Secretary of the Yale Council, I want to express my deepest appreciation for the opportunity to have shared my vision and goals with you all. Throughout this campaign, I've been constantly reminded of the incredible passion and talent that exists within our campus. I firmly believe that the role of Secretary is one that is critical in ensuring all our voices are heard and represented. If elected, I promise to you that I'll be a fierce advocate for your interests and concerns. I work tirelessly to create a more inclusive, engaging, and enthusiastic community. I ask for your trust and support in this election. Together, we can build a vibrant campus community. Together, we can develop together as Blackbirds. Together, we can build the store. Thank you, and I'll be among you at the polls tomorrow.
Thank you. Mr. George, 1 minute.
1 minute.
Right. In closing, Blackbirds, the wave continues tomorrow. Let's keep the wave going and ride the tide into the polling booth and mark the X right by Gideon George. The people's pulse is not a you thing, it's not a me thing, it's a we thing. And so your support is crucial to this transformation agenda. So Keville, go out tomorrow in your numbers and exercise your right to vote. Use your voice tomorrow as we vote Gideon George, and let's make waves together.
Thank you, Mr. George. Mr. Thompson, 1 minute.
Good night. Am I closing? I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank everybody for doing my campaign. I just want to thank everybody for the motivating words. At first there were a few doubts, but getting to speak to everybody, getting to hear the feedback, getting to hear the suggestions, getting to hear some demands, it really motivated me to keep pushing. Like I said, I vote for the people. I want to be a person for the people. And as I integrated myself to everybody, I just want to keep on doing the good work.
Alright, so I just want to take the time, first off, to express gratitude to my campaign team, first of all. They've been very important during this process. They made sure that all the paraphernalia, all the campaign material was of a specific standard. And big up the particular ones who were up at 4 a.m. this morning listening to me with my speech. Thank you very much for that. It's definitely appreciated. And those of you who are not on the campaign team but definitely show your support throughout the campaign season, I definitely appreciate it, and it hasn't gone unnoticed. Anyways, I just want to reassure you of my commitment to the role of GCC and to remind you that if you want to guarantee sporting excellence while using sport and games as a tool for maintaining a healthy lifestyle, then I urge you to come out in your numbers tomorrow, the 16th of March 2023, and vote Javon for GCC.
And with that, we have reached the conclusion of this first part Thank you. Thank you very much. At this moment, ladies and gentlemen, we transition at this moment to the presidential debate. The rules are much the same. Candidates will have 4 minutes within which to make their opening remarks. They will then face the fire question round. And then you will have the opportunity to pose questions. Does anyone have any questions? I'm sure you do. Many questions. And then they will have the opportunity for their closing remarks. And so, without any further ado, as we move into the presidential debate, the first candidate, they're being called now, alphabetical order, the first candidate for the post of president, Mr. Michael Besson. Thank you very much. Our second candidate for the office of president, Mr. Paul Miller. Thank you very much. Welcome, both of you. And we queue up finally for the last candidate to be brought out tonight. And while we resolve this, we have our first two candidates. We are waiting to receive our final candidate for the night. But I think that they're starting to pick up the audio. So while we do that, we are going to once again hear me drone on about some other things that you don't really care too much about. It is what it is. I will remind you again, because I really can't think of anything else to say, I'll remind you again that you're not to consume any vitamins at this point of the time. So no eating or drinking. No eating or drinking at this point in time. You no longer have to hear from me, so hit the parade. And the final candidate for the office of president, Ms. Stephanie Pascal. Welcome. We're going to get right into it. Mr. Besson, you have 4 minutes to make your opening remarks.
All right, Quincy.
My fellow students, pleasant evening to you all. My name is Michael Besson, your Guild Presidential candidate for the year 2023-2024. Our Cavell campus is a melting pot overflowing with ambition, determination, passion, potential for greatness, and Blackbird pride. It has been my distinct privilege to have rubbed shoulders serving alongside so many persons who I am sure will go on to achieve the exceptional in their lives. Being the representative for the Faculty of Sport has been the highlight of my service thus far. Because for the special relationship I have with my students, they have given me their support every step of the way. Without their participation and support, I would not have been able to reach out to secondary schools to inform students of the administrative, official, and medical career positions available in sport. I also advocated to raise awareness for breast cancer on campus, have a soup kitchen for Faculty of Sport students, and place additional items in the final exam packages for my students when they were given to the Guild. My fellow students, be assured that I will display a higher level of dedication and determination if elected as your Guild President. DRIVE is just not a campaign catchword, but a powerful acronym that represents my vision for our campus. Strap in as I explain the meaning behind each letter. D, digitize. Once enrolled at this campus, Sagicor will open a personal bank account for you. To access your Sagicor account, a chip will be embedded in your student ID card to allow you to purchase items from various establishments. Security will be ensured by requiring students to choose a PIN for activation upon collection. This will make financial transactions easier for regional students to limit the number of times they will have to pay charges at the ATM for cash withdrawals. Reintegrate. My goal is to connect the student body through clubs, societies, and associations throughout campus. This will be achieved by establishing a universal hour for extracurricular events such as debating, sporting events, association meetings, and fundraisers. This will give residents and the commuters the opportunity to immerse themselves within our school's culture. I, improve. Upgrading and maintaining the facilities around campus is essential. For example, a light on the Guild lawn, advocate for an overhead covering for the multipurpose court, and a pre-orientation session with freshers for the purpose of understanding registration and day-to-day academic life on campus. B, visualize. This is my personal favorite. It's a Guild entrepreneurial directory. Many students on this campus are innovative entrepreneurs who need exposure to boost their small businesses. This initiative will provide a direct link between the entrepreneur and their patrons. E, execute. This is my solemn promise to you that I will dedicate myself to achieve the objectives that I have presented to you. On election day, we voted Michael Besson all the way. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Besson. Mr. Miller, 4 minutes.
It is often said, a great leader acknowledges good work and builds upon the work that has been done even more. Hence, maintaining the standard of the Guild is of utmost importance. It would be remiss, irresponsible, and borderline ungrateful for us to say all is lost. In fact, it would be a grave error, a huge mistake. We should not allow a lone blunder to demolish the entire reputation of the Guild, but rather let us seek to maintain the standard through progression and advancement. Ladies and gentlemen, a very pleasant good evening. For the benefit of those who don't know, I am Paul Miller and I am your presidential candidate. As president of the Guild, the following is my free hand to work hand in hand with you. So what am I proposing, or what can I do for you? Development. The welfare fund speaks to increasing the amount of welfare that is given to students. This master budget for this academic year, $65,340 would have been allocated towards welfare. The way I am proposing that it be deepened would add approximately $16,335.01 to that. Do you know what that means? More scholarships, more giveaways, more bucks, more welfare. Health services expansion. In 2019, Aesthetic Dental collaborated with the UE Health Clinic to offer dental services for
Paul would have been excused from multiple Guild meetings because he had to attend trainings and meetings. We often hear a man cannot serve two masters. And so really and truly, this man cannot serve as our guild president unless he gives up his sporting discipline. Option 2. If you want a guild president who loves telling you dreams and fantasies and plans that will never come to fruition, then that is the man for you. The last time I checked, Cambridge is a public university, not a bank. And so that debit card ID, who is paying for that? The university that has a mountain of financial issues? Anyway, let's give President many thoughts and giving them a outlandish mandate. It is need to really draw traction to his campaign with the rest of the mandates in a substance. This third mandate speaks to infrastructural issues. And instead of talking about practical infrastructural issues, such as the fact that Sherlock has a
ladies and gentlemen, please, bear with us. You'll get your time with Pascal, but we have to contend with this. Right, go ahead. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, please.
The third mandate is the infrastructural issues. And instead of focusing on actual infrastructural issues that plague this campus, again, this man is here to tell us dreams. So instead of, this man would have bypassed Sherlock's AC water fall in the TV room, the fact that the 3 halls of residence share one plumber, the AC issues in the law fact, CLICO, SADICO, all of these pertinent infrastructural issues, and talk about covering on sporting facilities. Let us just be so absolutely for real. I know you plan to rerun for the faculty of sports representative because you are obsessed with the Guild Council, but this is a presidential campaign. So let us just try to focus on the right now, because these plans are a scam. And so, with option 1, we have, and so,
Ladies and gentlemen, please, man.
So, with option 1, we have a man who is unable to get the job done. And option 2, a man who is a scammer. Option 3.
I love the answer to withdraw that last remark. Because this will be a decorous event here. What we will do, this is democracy in action. You will sit there and you will listen to the candidates. When it comes time for you to ask your questions, them questions you will ask. What will not happen in here tonight? In here tonight. It's this kind of disorder, so I beg you, please do. Leave it some tonight. Stop now. Please, you have 34 seconds left. Pardon? The clock has been stopped for your interruption, so therefore I will give you 40 seconds and we will continue.
Option 3. If you want a guild president who has taken the time to look at the actual issues, problems with the Give Back program for our national students, the limited access to the many amenities that we are paying our long money for, and the fact that too many students are disenfranchised with the guild, and would have come up with feasible, attainable, practical plans to remedy them, I am the woman for the job. If you want a guild president who was proactive enough to meet with administration to discuss the feasibility of these plans, because I value integrity, accountability, and I am not in a business of tricking people. I am the woman for the job. If you want a guild president who is multifaceted as an institution to serve,
Ms. Pascal, you can take 10 seconds and wrap up. We have stopped the time for the interruption. We've stopped the time for you. You have 4 minutes like everyone else. Just please wrap up in 10 to 15 seconds.
If you want a guild president who is committed, who has always been present, who has always been active, who didn't need a position to serve and didn't need this post to really make her presence felt on campus, then I am the woman for the job. So come tomorrow, we will recognize that there is really and only and truly one option.
Thank you. As we transition the room now, we're going to transition the room now to take, so that we can have the, ladies and gentlemen, please, I'm talking, please. We are going to move into audience questions, not audience question time. I am going to ask questions now. The first question is one that has come in on the forum, and I will pose it first to Mr. Besson. Why are you running for the position of president? And I will add to that, what is motivating you, what is driving you?
Thank you very much for that question. What pushed me to run for guild president is the ability and the choices that I would have seen that I had to make, the sacrifices that I would have given up to ensure that the 136 students of the Faculty of Sport were well taken care of. I am passionate in ensuring that every need was met. I am enthusiastic about creating a strong impact and actually advocating for what the students need. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Miller, the same question posed to you.
Alright, thank you for the question. One word, passion. From since coming to the Cable campus, I've immersed myself in almost every association, club, and society that is on this campus. And I think that we have what it takes to lead this campus to the
question to you.
The reason I would have chosen to run for guild president is because, you know, in service is recognizing that you need to go where you are best needed and where you are most impactful. Last year, a lot of persons really wanted me to go for president then, and I would have recognized that, you know, I was thinking already for the job. There was a lot of things that I had to learn in the past year in serving as guild vice president, and I believe that, you know, through cultivating these different skills, now I am the best capable person for the job, now I am ready, and so here I am putting myself up for service.
Mr. Besson, as president, of course, of the Guild of Students, you will have to lead a fairly large organization of councillors. What is your approach to leadership?
Thank you very much for that question. My approach to leadership is very hands-on. As most of the persons here that I'm seeing in this room can definitely say they would have seen me across campus, helping every single person that would have reached out. I have definitely been operating outside of my portfolio, doing things to make sure that every student, even outside of the Faculty of Sport, meet the needs and get the necessary things that they deserve on campus. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Same question, Mr. Miller, for you.
All right, thank you for that question. I have two approaches to leadership. The first one being introspection. Firstly, as a leader, you have to look within yourself and identify your strengths and your weaknesses. In order to lead people, you also need to identify their strengths and their weaknesses. Secondly, let's talk about communication. Communication is very, very, very important, as I said, in the success of any student government, and those are my two approaches.
Thank you very much, Mr. Miller. Ms. Pascal, same question for you. Would you like to proceed?
My views on leadership really and truly has to do with going again where you are best needed. It is recognizing again your strengths and weaknesses and recognizing the strengths and weaknesses of your team as well. Another thing too with leadership is really and truly being a service. You as a leader, oftentimes this role, you know, student leadership is a voluntary role. And so you must really and truly recognize your own limits and your capabilities, what you can and cannot do, and being very honest and truthful with it. So it makes no sense really and truly committing yourself to a task that someone else could potentially be best suited for. And all of those things are leadership. Another thing too is serving on the Guild Council, because the Guild Council is so diverse, and in the sense that each and every single Guild Councilor is a president in their own right. A key part of leadership is allowing other people to lead as well and inspiring them to do their best. And so that is really and truly my views on leadership.
Thank you. Mr. Besson, in every organization, conflicts inevitably arise. What is your approach to conflict resolution and diffusion of conflict?
Thank you very much for that question. When there is conflict, well, that's something you definitely cannot escape. So I will revert back to being a student athlete, right? So in sport, definitely you would have disagreements with teammates, with even with the opposing team, etc. What is important is how you deal with it, the way you intake any situation, the image that you see yourself, the maturity levels. So that's the first thing you need to analyze. If you have persons who are just plain immature, that could become a problem, and you know, as a leader, would need to step in and actually put your foot down and decide, well, okay guys, we need to, if you're not going to have a friendship, you definitely need to maintain professionalism for the sake of your friendship.
Thank you for your thank you, Mr. Besson. Thank you, audience, for your interruption. Mr. Miller, same question.
All right, thank you for that question. Mr. Besson would have said professionalism. Although that is important, you have to also, when dealing with conflict, remember to be an impartial party. When there are two parties, when dealing with conflict, you have to ensure that you, the middleman, stay impartial because you don't want to be picking sides when dealing with conflict. Second, communication. I'm going to stress on this. Communication is very, very, very important for the effective and efficient running of any student government. Thank you.
Okay, so in relation to conflict, something that is very important, as Paul said, is recognizing to be impartial. Something that I would have done in my capacity as vice president is, you know, if I was probably involved, it was a case where I would mobilize, especially, you know, our guild secretary, because she's actually a qualified mediator. There were also a few times that I would reach out to the constitutional chairperson as well as the returning officer so that they could navigate whatever the case, especially the constitutional chair in his capacity as disciplinary committee chairperson. And so really and truly is another important thing as well is listening to both sides. In conflict, we tend to kind of paint ourselves as, you know, the victim. And so before you pick sides, you as a leader, it's very important to gather all the facts. And really and truly, it's very important to remember what is the goal at the end of the day. The goal is to serve the English students, and we must never and truly lose sight of that.
Thank you. The next question from Mr. Besson. This question has come from the forum. Can you tell us about, or rather, have you ever been the head of an organization? If yes, tell us about your experience managing that organization in terms of the effectiveness of the organization as well as managing personnel.
Thank you very much for that question. Firstly, as Ms. Pascal would have said, every guild councillor is a president in their own capacity. So prior to this, I would have had a post at St. Augustine, UWI St. Augustine, as the GCC. Now I serve as the current president for the Faculty of Sport, and management is something that you need to make sure that it's embedded in you in terms of dealing with different personalities, ensuring that the task is completed. My exec has been moral support. They have been so strong. So anything that I know that that happens, I can always lean on them. So I think that yes, I do have the capability to lead. It's something that is not new, it's not foreign. So as I would say, to be honest, I think that this could actually be one of the biggest accomplishments that I will have if elected. But I am definitely looking forward to lead, and I am prepared, very, very prepared to.
Thank you. Yes, I will. Can you tell us, have you ever been the head of an organization or led an organization? If so, tell us about your experience in terms of the effectiveness of your management and managing the people and so on.
All right, thank you for that question. Not an organization per se, but a cricket team. A cricket team back in Antigua was been losing for years and years and years. And the 1 year I took the mantle, we were one of the top contenders within 3 months. I must also add that communication and knowing how to deal with different personalities is very, very important. And that is how...
Pardon me? Yes, managing personnel.
And that is exactly how you manage personnel.
Ms. Pascal, will you let me repeat the question? Yes. Have you ever led an organization before? If so, tell us about your experience of managing that organization and managing the personnel in that organization.
Okay, so I would have been the president of my student government association back at, my local college in Dominica, and that would have been very interesting. I believe that we were very successful. One of the things that we would have done really and truly is to actually mobilize. We would have done data-driven advocacy, and so in terms of advocating, we would go around getting petitions, and so when we present our case to the relevant bodies, it's not just a case, okay, well, I think the students want this, or maybe the students want this. Administration could clearly see that over 300 students wanted this, and so that would kind of inspire them to act with a little bit more urgency. And those are one of the things that I want to implement as well if I am successful as guild president.
Thank you. Mr. Besson, another question from the forum. Do you have any experience negotiating with university administration to get a result for the students? If yes, tell us about it. And what is your relationship like with members of administration?
Thank you very much for that question. Yes, I do have experience in terms of negotiating with the university. The water coolers that you all are seeing currently being fixed, I would have advocated for those tirelessly. Additionally, there was recently a snack machine placed into the guild. I also advocated for that. Last week, Wednesday, I would have had a meeting with our deputy principal to make sure all the plans that are in my manifesto are very much feasible. So I don't have any issue advocating for STEM WA. So that's one. Additionally, your last question was, what is my relationship like with, right? So one of the pros of being able to have hands-on work ethic, you do get to go around and network a lot and meet a lot of people. So in terms of staff and students, I definitely do maintain a great relationship when it comes to business. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, no problem. Mr. Miller, do you have any experience negotiating with administration to get a result for the students? If yes, tell us about it. And the second part of that question related, what is your relationship like with administration?
All right, thank you for that question. Myself, Mr. Bessel, and Emily would have gone to the bursary sometime last year to, advocate for the need of money. And what I must say is that when approaching administration, you must approach them with respect and ensure that you demand the respect the same way. And in the administration, I'm going to stress on this, I'm going to be tired of me, but communication is very, 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 very important. And they must be held accountable. So when dealing with admin, don't just deal with hearsay. Let them send an email. Thank you.
So one of my biggest successes in terms of advocacy is, as vice president and chairperson of the ITC, I really deal with the different clubs and associations on campus. Initially, the plan was that the clubs would get half of their subvention in the first semester and then half in the second semester. After that, after they would have produced, their financial records. Given the fact, the tussle we had with the new financial process and the late time that students would have gotten it, I would have successfully advocated for them to receive the full stipend amount instead of the initial half. Because I really didn't think that it was fair to the different clubs and associations to then have to only get half of the money that was entitled to them and then have to go back and fight for the rest of their money. In terms of my relationship with administration, it is very good. I have SAC meetings every month, so regular meetings with OSS, regular meetings with the deputy principal. Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Miller, we'll start with you. Time to take up the order a little bit. Can you elaborate on your mandate related to providing feasible give-back avenues?
All right, thank you. As a lot of you may or may not know, Bayesian students are required to give back 150 hours as full-time students and 100 hours as part-time students. Feasible means to give back avenue basically speaks to you doing meaningful things during your hours rather than just passing the time by. Just imagine a law student, getting to intern at a law firm as a paralegal as opposed to picking up garbage on the beach. So this is what I mean by feasible means to give back avenues. Ensuring that the time that you have to give back is meaningful. Thank you.
I'm directed to remind you that there is to be no eating or drinking in the room. I'm told that the atmosphere smells a little bit like food. So I am directed to remind you that your crimes are being smelled. Mr. Besson, can you further elaborate on your plans for reintegration in your mandate?
Thank you very much for that question. Reintegration. Most of the times you will find that when events happen on campus, that students are not present because they kind of started at 9 p.m. People go home, nobody feeling to come back, the last bus there. You know, you're studying so much things. So what I am proposing is that we set a schedule where every week, well, it's already something that is happening on campus, it's not brought to our knowledge. On Fridays from 2 to 4, we actually have a free period where no classes are happening and we are allowed to have events. However, what I'm proposing, because Fridays are actually really kind of empty on campus, I'm proposing that it happens sometime earlier in the week where we give our clubs, societies and associations a chance to showcase what they have, the cultures that they have, so everybody could be a part of it. What I'm also proposing is that the entrepreneurs on campus, basically something that actually happened today, like the marketplace, where people with small businesses could come out and actually show what they have, jewelry making, the craft and everything of the sort. So that is what I am hoping for, that we can achieve with that mandate. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. 30 seconds, you have to respond to that.
All right, Mr. Besson, you know, we are colleagues currently. But what I'm saying is that the Island Association Clubs and Society fall under the portfolio of the Vice President. As the President, they can't be heavy-handed in, micromanaging everybody. So I think I should allow the portfolio holder of the Vice President to flourish in his or her capacity.
Yeah. I will allow you to, because he directed it to you, I'll allow you to respond to that very, very briefly and then we'll move on.
Thank you very much for that rebuttal, Mr. Miller. However, though, yes, that is the portfolio of the Vice President, but it is also essential to have a holistic view as the President. What it is, the way how I see it is that if you put yourself out there in terms of actually ensuring that everybody gets a chance to participate in stuff, yes, the Vice President, whoever he or she may be, is responsible for ensuring that the clubs, associations and whatnot happen. However, I still think that there are other aspects that needs tightening up in regards to actually allowing our campus to showcase the culture that we have. So as I would have said, the entrepreneurs as well would be featured in that particular venture.
Thank you, Mr. Benson. No. Ms. Pascal, please. The next question is for you. Your campaign slogan is, "We have sowed the seeds, now it's time for the harvest." So can you flow us into some of the seeds that we have sowed thus far?
So in terms of different themes and cultures that I would have really tried to implement in terms of accountability, in terms of transparency, in terms of honesty, in terms of communication, those are the things that I would have really wanted to do as Vice President. Another core theme of mine is to really be present. And so outside of just being, attending different AGMs that I am constitutionally mandated to attend, I would have made a concerted effort to attend, one or two of the other events, as many as I can, just so that the students feel supported in every capacity. Yes, financial support is very important in terms of the subventions, but having physical support in terms of people actually showing up for your event that you have taken so much time to plan, in terms of having people advertise your event for you so that you can get more people as well. All of those things are very important. And in terms of actual, seeds, I would have done my best to revive as much clubs as possible. And I would have started this tenure with just about 16, 17 clubs, and right now we're just under 30. So that would have been my plan.
Thank you very much. Mr. Miller, going forward, if you want to respond, you can incorporate it into your response to another question. But unless you are directly named in the response, then I'll give you the opportunity to respond as of right. Okay? All right. But Mr. Miller, the question for you. You were not named. So what I'm saying to you is that If you are named in the person's response, then I will give you the opportunity to respond going forward, because in the interest of time, if you want to respond to what Ms. Pascal has said, you can incorporate it into your next answer to the next question, which fortuitously is right now. In terms, so one of your mandates is increasing the allocation to the welfare fund to 12.5%. The question reads, how will this affect the Guild's other projects?
Thank you for that question. When I speak about 12.5%, you may be wondering where this 2.5% is coming from. But let us look. If you look at the budget, you'll see that we're still paying for a Guild driver when we have no Guild van. Council portfolio allocations budget are unrealistic. Take me for example. I have a budget of $15,000, but I've only used $730.03. So in terms of deepening the welfare fund, you will set more realistic budgets so that more money can go towards the welfare. In answering Stephanie, rebutting Stephanie's response to her question, you talk about, harvest, but you've sowed seeds in fertile soil. So you talk about sowing seeds of trust back in the Guild. Do the people trust you?
Ladies and gentlemen, we really do not need a running commentary from you. It is not productive, it is not productive. For what I just said, he has named you, I will give you the opportunity to respond.
I guess we'll see tomorrow.
Okay. Mr. Besson. I'm just checking to make sure the mic is on. Mr. Besson, tell us about one of your achievements in your current position that puts you in a good position to assume the presidency.
Could you repeat that one more time?
Sorry. Tell us about one of your achievements in your current position that puts you in a good place to assume the presidency should you be successful.
Thank you very much for that question. One of the achievements in my current position, I could probably list like 2 to 3 things that would have changed. Anyways, so in recent times, in faculty board, in the last faculty board, I would have advocated for the faculty of sport to have the first ever alumni, faculty of sport alumni. This is where, when our students graduate, they will now be given a faculty ring, like when you was in secondary school. So you're basically paying a membership fee, and when you're leaving, you basically get a form of memorabilia when you graduate, right? So that is one thing that the dean would have said that we need to push forward for. Secondly, I would have advocated for supplemental classes, because sport faculty does not have those classes within the summer period, and we have a lot of students who are looking to get the courses out of the way. I would have advocated for the numbers for the master's students to be lessened, because they have continued to defer the program based on the numbers, so I would have gotten that done. And oh, that's
okay. Thank you. Ms. Pascal, a question to Ms. Pascal. How do you plan to execute your Guild legacy mandate should you be successful?
Okay, so initially I was thinking of mobilizing, the different publications on the Guild. So using the Cave and using, the Guild page. In campaigning and, in talking to people, they were like, Stephanie, for real? No, I'm not really Cave. So, actually one of the suggestions that I would have gotten from the students is in terms of incorporating it into our walk-around. And so, one of the things that I want to do is successful is to do a lot more walk-arounds, just again so that the students know the Guild, feel our presence on campus, have that communication, so if they have issues, they can voice it outside of just the regular AGM that is held once a semester. And So, in doing that, another idea that I had is that we could actually incorporate alumni into it. We have a lot of Guild alumni here in Barbados. And so if, once or twice a month, we can shoot an episode with, I see Mr. Alvin Holas in the back there, former Guild president. So if we can just shoot a video with him and, he can tell us about what he would have accomplished in his time, I think that would be a great way to really teach the students about the Guild of Students.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And this will be the final round of questions from me as we move into the audience question round. Pardon? Paul, don't worry, Mr. Besson. I have this covered. When people look back, what would you like, Mr. Besson, when people look back, what would you like, should you be successful, them to remember as your legacy?
Thank you for that question. Definitely the impact that I would have left in terms of the many times that they would have, reached out in terms of counselors, students. I think that I want them to see me, to remember me as somebody who was always there, somebody who was always helpful, somebody who was always respectful to their needs, and somebody who definitely could have gotten the job done when all else failed. So that's what I think I would like people to remember most about me.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
I would want people to remember me for maintaining the standard through progression and advancement. I want people to remember me for being me, not trying to act as somebody who I'm not. I've been around everybody, all y'all know me, y'all know how to fit and thing. Don't be acting brand new. That's the kind of president I would like to be. Somebody who's able to be sociable, personable. You. Thank you.
The same question to you, Ms. Pascal.
What I want to be remembered for is, one, my presence. I want students to actually remember me helping them, wanting me to remember the impact that I would have had on them. I want them to remember me assisting them, any issue that they came to me, I want them to know that I was actually capable, in terms of delivering for them. Another thing that I want to be remembered for is really leaving the Guild in a better position. I think really and truly it's very important that as student leaders, we really contribute to the space that we hold. Yes, we are in the space, yes, we have certain responsibilities to fulfill, but what is our legacy after we leave the position? I want to better the Guild of Students. Thank you.
Thank you. While we set up the room with the moving microphone across, as we head into audience question time, I want to ask you very much, members of the audience, for a favor. I want to ask you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for a favor. My voice is already, because of you really, I must add, because I will send an invoice Dr. Bill to all of you. My voice is already beginning to falter. And therefore, as we move into audience question time, I beg you, please, can we just get through audience question time so that we can all go home quietly. Thank you very much. Consider yourself warned. Can we please have the first question? Well, clearly that warning didn't work very well. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, go ahead, sir.
My question is to Ms. Pascal. Throughout the duration of your campaign and your speech, you have persistently spoken of your two opponents in an arguably offensive manner. However, regardless of the result of this election, you still have 2 remaining months left to serve on the Guild Council in the capacity of Vice President, alongside the Guild UCC and the Guild Sports Representative. With that being said, after everything that has been said by you tonight, how in good faith can you assure the student populace that you will be able to facilitate a professional and healthy working relationship with your colleagues for the remainder of the semester?
at the end of the day, it's politics. And I think with politics, there are certain things that are to be expected. Each and every single candidate here tonight would have done relatively well in their respective roles on this council. And so, in my bid to clearly distinguish myself, I think it's clear that I really have to, let people know as to why I am the better candidate. That is the next thing. And in terms of being able to work together, at the end of the day, both of these candidates would have spoken about professionalism tonight. Irrespective of that, I have a very good relationship with Paul. I think in the lower
let's call it 10 steps.
I didn't really answer your designation again.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Can we have the next question, please? Audience, do you all do well in your exam? In terms of, are you able to follow the instructions of your exam? Audience, please, the instruction here is simple. Be quiet, let's hear the audience. If you have something to say, approach the microphone. Sir.
Hey, good night again. I have two questions. The first one for Paul and Michael, and then the second one for Stephanie. Paul, in your opening speech, you have spoken about great leaders noticing great work, if I get that correctly. Both you and Michael have shown your passion for people. Michael, in my opinion, you have been the best faculty rep this school year. And Paul, you have led a great revitalization of the Guild Union in our first post-pandemic year. However, the Guild social media and YouTube extension is mostly a notice board for events, although there is an event Instagram page, and not really a celebration and spotlight of achievements that the students have and of their good work. One example I'll reference is that recently in the BCA Award, a youth student on the cricket team won for most wickets. Most dismissals of wickets, but none of that was there. Sorry. Yeah. To someone listening here who wants to be PRO or join the Public Relations Committee, how would you like to see the brand and marketing of the Guild revamped to put a greater focus on the celebration of students?
Thank you so much, John Delaney. I think that firstly, the student government needs to establish a strong and firm connection with the student body. It is important that, and I'm going to stress it again, communication. So if a young man, as you said, got the BCA award, and he didn't tell us, we don't know that he's playing cricket, or he didn't make it a way that we're playing, that he got an award, how are we going to do that he has an award? So I'm going to stress again, communication is very, very important. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question, Mr. John. As the way I see it, I think that if everyone plays their part, honestly, we will be able to cover most of the information across campus. We have faculty reps in every faculty. So what I think we can implement is possibly an avenue where students, we could nominate persons that we think, some sort of nomination process that persons could actually put forward what they would have done that is noteworthy of making the page. Yes, small accomplishments is also an accomplishment, but on the page, so far I think we would have featured Jasmine and Mr. Caleb Gardner, who is a senator here. I can speak from the sport faculty aspect. This is something that we would have done where we had 5 sport students represent the Barbados national team at the Pan Am Games a couple months ago. We had somebody who would have won the bodybuilding competition. He's actually in this room. The bodybuilding competition, and we would have featured them on our page. So what I would like to do is to take that same drive and move it forward to the Guild. Thank you.
And
question for Stephanie. In your opening speech, you would have lambasted two students who, despite
Political science student, a student of political science, it is highly offensive for me to sit down continuously over and over again tonight and for you to say that is just politics. Because a person who is actively involved in politics and activism in my own country, that is not the standard as a however, my question is, good night everybody. Let me just make something clear. The next person that comes up here and says anything outside of what was vetted and approved, you will be cut off at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Number two, any person that is currently in the line, if you did not get your question vetted, or you're refusing to get your question vetted, you will not be asking it, and that's just the truth. Alright? That's all. Yes, thank you very much. Right, so my question is, I've been following your campaign and have noticed from day one that you would have posted negative and continually bashful statements towards your fellow candidates. Is this behavior becoming of a Gill presidential candidate in your opinion?
Good question. Yes, I do. And again, as I would have said, it's just a matter of that was the political strategy I chose to employ in terms of me distinguishing myself between the different candidates. I think that we should be able to comment on each other's campaigns. I think we should be able to comment on each other's platforms. And really and truly, I do not see a problem with it. Personally, I stand by what I did. And yes, you might not agree with it, and I respect that. But at the end of the day, there are different strategies that can be employed, and that was the one that I chose to take this into.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
Good night, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, communications, the ladies' questions. Go ahead, ma'am.
Good night, everybody. Good night to the three candidates. My question is for Ms. Pascal. In your opening remarks, you questioned the practicality of Mr. Besson's aims to improve on infrastructural issues. Could you then describe the practicality of implementing a 24-hour gym facility you have listed in your mandate, given the no doubt implications for student safety, additional security costs, and overall heightened liability for the university? And what are your proposals for addressing these issues?
Thank you for your question. I would have noted the increase in gym space because right now the gym is only operational from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. And a lot of our students, whether it is that they have a hectic schedule during the day, whether it is that, they have night classes or they work, they are really and truly unable to use the school gym. Now, we all pay amenity fees, and really and truly it is not fair that, we are paying these fees and we are unable to reap the benefits of that. In thinking of this mandate, I would have thought of the additional cost to pay, but if you really consider it, this school gym is on university property, and in truth and in fact, every perimeter of university property is supposed to be secure, it is supposed to be safe. And if you even watch the area down by postgrad, there are supposed to be security lookouts similar to the beginning of the university compound. And so simply because the area is not frequented as much, that is why security are not there. And so really and truly, we should not be afraid of advocating for things that we rightfully deserve because the university is not doing their job.
But Stephanie, why not advocating for the 24-hour use of the library or the 24-hour use of
Different spaces. As far as I'm concerned, all the amenities facility should be available to us as much as possible. I would have specifically chose on the gym space simply because I recognize that a lot of students cannot use the gym because of the different scheduling conflicts and because of the booking system. And so that is why I would have selected that mandate to focus on that area of focus on.
Thank you very much.
So just a small follow-up.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I hear the lady, please?
You said that students can't use it during regular school hours, so would it not have okay, did you not just say that students can't use it during, they don't have time to use it during the day? Basically, my question is, would it not have been more feasible to just extend it a few hours as opposed to an entire 24 hours? Who's going to use the gym at 3 in the morning?
While you might not be interested in utilizing the gym at those particular times, there are a lot of students who are interested in utilizing the gym at those different times. The same way in terms of who is really using the library at 2, 3, 4 a.m. in the evening. It's the same way. You know, everything is not for everybody. You know, and so while you in particular might not use it, other students are particularly interested in this mandate and they would be very happy to do that.
Ladies and gentlemen, the decorum in the room is slipping and we wouldn't want that. Go ahead.
My question is to all three candidates. If it is that you are not selected to become the Guild President, will you still be willing to support the Guild of Students? And following up on that question, in what ways?
Well, thank you very much for that question, Felicity. As Ms. Pascal would have stated in her speech about me returning to my faculty if I'm not selected as Guild President, that is very much true because I thoroughly enjoy being the faculty rep for the Faculty of Sport. We have been very dormant for a couple of years prior, and the passion that I put into this particular tenure, it just, you know, it evolved me as a person, and I was able to just see the smiling faces all the time, and persons reaching out, and just actually being able to help. That in itself is a joy for me, so I'll definitely be putting myself out to service in one way or another. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that question. I have been an integral part of a lot of events on the University of the West Indies Cable campus, and I must say that if I were not elected, the post I would go for is events officer, because I think I have what it takes to plan events effectively.
I'm not sure what particular position I would run for if I even would run on the Guild again. I think too, again, you can serve outside of just serving on the Guild Council. I think each and every single student here serves the Guild Council or serves the Guild of Students by, you know, supporting our events, supporting our initiatives. And so yes, I will always support the Guild of Students. While it not be on the actual council, but you know, I will always support the Guild of Students. I always have and I always will.
Okay, my question is for you, Mikhail. Thanks for putting up yourself person first of all. Being that within the past semester you were unable to manage your studies while being the sports science representative, which landed you an academic warning, how can you convince me that you are capable of balancing your academics with the heavy portfolio as the chairperson?
Ladies and gentlemen, 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 ladies and gentlemen. Okay. I have just been advised that that was not the question which was vetted.
It was the question that was missing.
Good night, everyone. Good night, everyone. Good night, everyone. Sir, any similar outbursts, you'll be asked to leave the lecture theatre. We're not going to tolerate that. Second day, the young lady brought the question. We asked her to rephrase the question. And then she came and she asked the very same question. We're not going to allow the question, and even outbursts like that isn't going to affect the outcome. The question is not going to be allowed, and we'll now invite the next person and another question.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Besson has indicated that he wishes. Look, please, there is no need for this kind of behavior. It's not a fish market.
Thank you very much for that question. Firstly, I would just like to make it public knowledge that that information is truly false. 1. 2, this is my second degree because I would have completed my I don't know where you would have gotten that I'm on academic warning. Wow. Sorry. That actually makes me wonder how integrity works in terms of the actual administrative system here. Because for you to be that strong to come up here and actually say what you said, I believe that you definitely had some inside source. So, what I am saying to everyone, that information is extremely false. And I have been managing time to do my studies, and as well as being an excellent faculty rep to my faculty. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please. Can we move on to the next question? Ma'am, please go ahead and ask your question.
Good night. So this is a question for all three candidates. So as we all know, being guild president is a very demanding job. How can you ensure that your GPA will not fall below what it is currently at to be able to maintain the quality of who we have in the capacity as our guild?
Okay, we'll start with Ms. Pascal and go down. Ladies and gentlemen, can we just hear the answer to the question? Is that okay with you?
Okay, so I am someone who has always been involved, has always juggled a lot, and I would have always enjoyed some level of, academic success. And so I'm not fearful in terms of, continuing along that path. I would have been heavily involved last year, and I would have still managed to be named as valedictorian. And so I really am not truly bothered in terms of juggling the two responsibilities.
Thank you for your question. For majority of my life, I've been a student athlete. I can go right back to primary school, secondary school, and even state college back in Antigua.
I've been able to maintain, good grades. Even here at the University of West Indies, although it's hard, it's very, very hard, I must say. Over 3.0 GPA while, playing cricket, involving student leadership. So I don't think that this position right now is going to change anything. Thank you. Thank you very much for your question. Personally, I definitely don't allow things to affect what is important. I came here to achieve a degree, and what is important is ensuring that you do whatever it takes to make sure that happens, despite of any other alternatives that you may happen. Being guild president is definitely something that you have to devote a lot of time to. Time management. As Paul, I am also a student athlete and on scholarship here as well for the Blackbird volleyball team. So time management is not anything, is not a foreign aspect for me. So it's been years that I've been managing my time well enough to ensure that I maintain everything that is needed to create a holistic life for myself. Thank you very much.
Okay, so Stephanie has in her Mondays the 24-hour gym. Paul and Mikel, would you open anything other than that on campus for 24 hours? If you could.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that question. As somebody who is on campus a lot, you would see what students need late at night. Instead of having them walking through the dark to go down to SO, you would advocate for Campus Mart to be open 24 hours. From understanding things and the importance from a medical perspective, which is what I would have studied prior, the importance of opening the health clinic. The health clinic at night, people get sick, injuries happen. So these are things that I think should be open 24 hours. And keep kudos to you all for walking through that dark going down there. We definitely had to put some lights. Thank you.
Well, I would have answered, by responding to Stephanie's response to her question, I would have stated, the library. Because for exam season, it opens at 24 hours, so why you can't open it 24 hours all year round? Like, why have to be only a seasonal thing? The health clinic and also to Campus Mart. Those would have been the three things I would have, better things open just for 24 hours.
I should just say that in view of the time, and it's a very, very long line, we all want to get out of here. The time is going to be 30 seconds to respond, okay? You'll have 30 seconds to respond. Okay, well, while whatever's happening there is sorted out, I take the opportunity to remind you again that this is a university, and therefore you are expected to conduct yourself in an adult and mature manner. So I guess one could say not like the conduct that has been seen today. That is the best I can say about that. The points, I am very tired at this point. I am very tired of these approaches. My voice is going, my back is gone, my neck is gone, and my legs are going. But yet you continue to make outbursts. If I fail that here now, perhaps you all will stop. Do you have a question?
Yes. I didn't know you were running for president. Oh my goodness. But one of the things that I am concerned about, and has been my concern since I came to the university and living off campus, is that everything goes around the on-campus experience. And so the off-campus seems like we're not getting that experience per se. So when you talk about the gates, and I have brought this time and time again, and now we are here at this debate, and it's moving past the time, and nobody, all the time I have asked, and there has been no one that says, we are having this thing on campus, and everybody is coming. And so we will ensure that the security keeps the gate open. And when it comes to off-campus stuff, and you all running for presidency, and you are not meeting everyone, there's also funding that goes to the halls and things off-campus. And even if we have an off-campus rep, you all have sat on the Guild already, and what do you speak about with each other and care about the off-campus students?
Ma'am, this question is directed to anyone in particular?
Okay, so in terms of the gates, one of the issues is that in terms of security, there has been, concerns of students getting, assaulted in the dark. And so that is why they would have made the effort to close the gate. I think one of the things that we can look at is again having security stations, at these different locations so that students are safe and then they can mobilize the different exit and entrance points. In terms of activities, that is really why I want to make the Guild more multifaceted and to really speak to the different interests of the different students.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. As Stephanie would have mentioned, is a matter of security. Behind there, at the back of the gate where you speak of is very, very, very dark, and I can attest to one individual who told me she was, being stalked. So it is important that we ensure that our security are doing their job and that the students basically who live behind here are kept safe. Thank you. Thank you very much for the question. If I'm not incorrect, but I don't think I am, there is a small gate on the side for pedestrians to exit and enter. And there is also a security booth situated on the left, that's to the back gate. So what I can possibly advocate for is for the small gate to remain open and for the securities to be a little more vigilant in regards to who enters and who exits. And that's the reason for that.
Good night. Thank you guys for, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for putting yourself up for service. So my question is mainly for Stephanie, but feel free to answer Paul and Mikael. So as the VP, you will have worked with us as the Guild President, the current Guild President. So what is something that you feel he would have fell short on that you feel he could implement or improve on if you're President? You know? Right. So what is one thing or something that you think Osazi fell short on that you could improve on or implement if you're the president, if you're elected as president? So Paul and Ting could answer after.
I wouldn't necessarily say it was a fall short on. I would more say that is his leadership style. And every person has their own leadership style. So Osaze really and truly has this laissez-faire type leadership style where he really and truly allows each councillor to operate in their own capacity, and he will really and truly only intervene when it is absolutely necessary. And so sometimes I think, sometimes you really do need to be more involved and more vigilant as the president. So that's the only thing that I would change.
Well, thank you for that question, Mr. David. I think that Osazi has been a good president. Pick up the Guild Council one time. But I think that his way of communicating is too much in terms of dealing with the social media. As a president, you have to be hands-on. Talk to your councillors face to face so that you can, see the emotions that are going, that they are displaying. That they're displaying so that you're able to communicate effectively. Thank you. Thank you very much for the question. I can speak on it from two aspects, right? Whereas from Osaze being the guild president and the relationship from councillor to president, he has always been available, even though he has his job to juggle and etc. running the council. He was somebody that he could reach out to, and he would always, try to guide you in the right direction or the direction needed, right? And I'm sure everybody can attest to that, right? In regards to the other aspect of what it is you do differently in terms of, I think that the guild council and shopping, it might still happen, we could do a bit more academically in terms of actually putting more things out there for students to actually learn more academically in that regard, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi. Good night. My name is Joshua Daniels. I'm so glad that Miguel, you brought up the point about the health services, right? This is for all three of you guys. What are you gonna do to update the health services because they are not it? Like I went there the other day, I had TV, and this girl is asking me, TV means tuberculosis, you know what I mean? Yeah, so I didn't have any money to pay for the medication, right? And she told me that the girls would be able to pay for the medication. That was last semester. And when I checked, the girl would be paying for that all the way in December. And I don't know if I'm wrong, but I know the semester ends like way before that. And then you have another thing where I have to go and sign up online, like pull out the form online before I can get inside here. What if I'm dying and this guy is telling me to fill out the online form first? So what do you guys about that?
So, the booking service would have been implemented during the COVID period, and I feel like a lot of different policies in relation to COVID needs to be removed. Obviously, now that we have returned to a normal state, so that needs to be addressed. In terms of the health services and improving it, I think it's really a matter of, a greater investment in that particular portion. Just in terms of reaching out to students. And I think another thing too, in terms of like this customer service, sometimes they have a lot of attitude inside there, so even in terms of how they deal with students, just be more caring and more, patience is really important. So I think that is a key thing as well.
Thank you for that question. We have returned back to the face-to-face modality, and I think a lot of the protocols need to be removed because the clinic is ridiculous now. I myself have struggled in terms of dealing with the clinic. Ain't no way you want me to send an email and a dime. So thank you for that. In terms of health service expansion, that's one of my mandates, which is to bring dental service and make it available to students so they don't have to pay an arm and a leg to get dental care, basically. Thank you. Thank you very much for the question. As Stephanie would have said, it was a COVID period, and that was the information that they would have adjusted to. That's the process. However, it is definitely time for it to change. It's definitely time for it to be updated. As you rightfully said, what if I'm dying? Do I have time to fill out a form? Do we have an ambulance on standby if I need to go for somewhere that has machines? What can I do? So I think that something that could happen is we need to have doctors on call. We definitely need to have doctors on call. Somebody who is there most of the time to actually, could actually make a rash decision to actually move you to know what needs to happen. So I think that the actual service needs implemented, and I agree 110% from a medical perspective. Because
okay, wait. I like how y'all answered the last part.
I have a notice regarding the previous question. The gates near the law faculty that lead on to Pleasant View and near the Faculty of Social Sciences that leads to Free Hill will be opened tonight upon request by campus security after the conclusion of the debate night.
Go ahead. Yeah. to the yeah, the first one for the paying for the yeah. So about paying for the medication and the helping out, yeah.
So what I can tell you though is that if you're unable to pay for it on the spot, what they do is that they would take your ID and they would write down, they would bill whatever the situation is. I know that you get a certain percentage in refund once the form is sent to OSS. They will then refund you over time for whatever allotted amount that may occur. So as far as the Guild Council actually paying for the medication, that is something that should be implemented because students do go through things in terms of health. So I think that is something that the welfare could be expanded and take care of.
What Miguel would have said about, the being able to go to the pharmacy and basically take the medication without giving money upfront is valid. But I also do, the prices in the pharmacy are ridiculous. Ain't no way you're supposed to go in the pharmacy and buy something for $25 for cough syrup and then going to Bridgetown and you're paying $10 for cough syrup. The prices must be reduced.
Okay, so again, my answer would be similar to the other candidates. I do agree that, we can lobby for the reduction in prices to make it more student friendly. And also to upgrade with the insurance. We do have insurance, and so I would encourage you to apply for it so that you can get some cash back, as well as the Guild welfare program. OSS also has financial aid as well, so there are different platforms and services if you are, strapped for cash in terms of need that you can reach out to.
Thank you. Next question.
Good night. My question is for Ms. Stephanie Pascal. For the benefit of the student body, would you be able to briefly reiterate your mandate and state which one is your top priority and how do you plan on realistically achieving it? Thank you.
Okay, so I have 7 mandates that speaks to education, social development, and welfare. In terms of social, I want to revitalize the union. I think that the Guild Union should be this recreational space that we can enjoy, and more needs to be done. It's really just the pool table in there. A lot of students would have identified that they want a table tennis table. So if I am unsuccessful, guys, please get the students a table tennis table. Another thing that really, my top mandate would really be the wage opportunities in terms of making this centralized hub where students can, know where to apply for the different jobs that are on campus, off campus, as well as the career opportunities that OSS sends via email. Thank you.
Good night. So my question, Stephanie just answered that question. My question goes to Paul and Mikel. So most of the mandates that you guys propose fall under the portfolio of other members that are part of your executive. What is something you think that would benefit the student body the most if elected as president?
Thank you for that question. I think deepening the welfare fund is of utmost importance. Right now, Barbados is very, very expensive due to inflation. And I think that 2.5% that will be added to the welfare fund is very, very important. Thank you for that question.
Thank you very much for that question. Definitely digitized because I am a regional student from Trinidad and Tobago and so it is really disheartening to withdraw $50 and then $11 gone. So definitely I would love to see digitized come through. Upon speaking with the Deputy Vice Principal, it is something that is well on its way, and I would just love to see it happen so regional students can actually benefit in terms of saving. As Paul rightfully said, Barbados is expensive. Thank you.
Yes. So with regards to integrity and the digitization that you just mentioned, How will you ensure that students' funds with the chip you propose are protected? And where will the money come from to support this initiative when shuttle drivers have issues sometimes to scan or ID cards?
Thank you very much for that question. To be quite honest, Sagicor Digital Banking is handling every single thing when it comes to actually placing the chip. That conversation was already had. So therefore, that's not funds that's going to come from us. That is just something that's going to be changed, something that's going to be upgraded. Our campus is actually a bit behind in regard to using this process. This chip is actually used universal in terms of other colleges have it, where they would use it for their meal plans, they would use it for actual accommodations to enter spaces, whatnot. So it is something that is feasible.
All right, Mikhail. So we're on the campus right now. How many places do you go to on the campus that utilizes the card? One campus mart, but you have Legacy Kitchen, you have Chillax, you have the Guild Union, you have all those places that don't utilize the card. So why would you incur extra costs when the expected life of a student is only for 3 years? You're opening a whole new bank account for just 3 years? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Paul, what I will say is that in the speech and after meeting with the deputy principal, the debit card is not only going to be for stuff on campus, you'll be able to use it in Barbados. It's actually going to function as an account. Because if you have a Bayesian account, it's actually, to open one you need a letter from your landlord, a recommendation letter from the bank back home, you need documents, a status letter. So what the deputy principal is proposing that once you are enrolled here, is that you will automatically qualify to open an account in Stanford College.
The tensions have been a bit high, so in the interest of bringing them down, you all have previously mentioned that it is important as a leader to identify the strong suits of your fellow executive members. In that light, and this is a popular debate question, what qualities do you admire in your fellow candidates? So one thing I admire about Mikhail is that he's very resourceful. If you need anything and you ask him to do it, he will get it done undoubtedly. Another thing too is that he is very committed. He will assist you if he can. And I really do admire that about him. In terms of Paul, I really like the fact that Paul again is also very helpful. And Paul really knows how to make people feel good. Just in terms of, lightening the mood, in terms of, playing on the different strengths and being on the field is very stressful. And Paul just has the ability to really make us feel good and to make us happy. So those are the things I want to
Well, let me first talk about, let me just say that this question is very hard for me because it is very hard for me to find words to describe people. But I will talk about Mr. Besson first. Firstly, I think that what I admire most about him is that he's versatile. I admire him as a student athlete because I know how hard it is to maintain, schoolwork and basically your career. And let me talk about Stephanie now. I must say that she is very expressive and also she is a no-nonsense person, and that is what I admire about Miss Pascal.
Thank you very much for the question. First, I'll start with Ms. Pascal. I definitely admire her intelligence. She is very intelligent in terms of the way she gets things done, with academically especially. I see this girl be writing down sometimes. I'd be like, hey, how are you getting that figured out? But I understand she's really brilliant, so I admire that. When it comes to Paul's ability to actually get logistics, get certain things done, when when he is under pressure, he pushes harder. He's that person who you can always come to for a laugh. And Paul is just naturally fun to be around. Yeah.
So, as someone who has been assaulted twice on this campus, once where the perpetrator came onto campus in pursuit of me, what are your thoughts on implementing a middleman between students and campus security, or perhaps yourself to go above and beyond the call, because in these two situations, I have lost faith in campus security and my safety.
Firstly, I'm very sorry that that would have happened to you. I really do hope that you would have, well, you said you lost faith in campus security, so I'm guessing you reported it. But beyond that, I hope you went to the police as well. In terms of what we can do to amend that, really and truly, in terms of, what we can potentially do is having, a brother's keeper. So we could have, especially these late nights, we could have persons who, basically a buddy system where we have persons walking with us throughout campus. Another thing that we can do is really and truly just to be vigilant as students. Yes, we take these things to the authorities, but even in terms of protecting each other as well, I think that is a critical part of it.
Let me say, I'm very sorry. Firstly, what can be done is that the implementation of self-defense classes can be put in place for students to know how to defend themselves in terms of people attacking them. Secondly, we can also ask security to not only sit down and be on their phones, but actually be active in their role. And I think that's how we're going to alleviate that problem.
Thank you very much for the question. I would like to express my sympathy as well. That's really disheartening to hear. What I think could be implemented, because as you said, you would have lost faith in campus security. I think we need to go a bit further in terms of asking the police to actually patrol through campus at late hours. Sometimes I see students, we come back from events late, and then we have people walking home, splitting up to go in different places. So, as Stephanie said, we can go in groups in that regard, but it is definitely something that the police needs to be more involved in rather than campus security, to be honest.
Just as a side note, it happened 8 o'clock in the morning whilst I was going to school.
Thank you. This is the final question of the night.
This is a question for Michael. It's more for clarity on what you said previously about the cards. You said that this is intended to be an actual debit card where we use outside of campus. So firstly, clarity on, you said that you're implementing the card so that we don't have so much tax taken out when you swipe it, right? So if it's intended to be a debit card to use all over Barbados, wouldn't we still get tax taken out from the cards because you're using different banks systems if you're going to a regular place that don't use such cards?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. That is a great question. In terms of surgical digital banking and the way that they set up their system, all the logistics are obviously not in place yet, but the main purpose is to actually get us to open a bank account, right? If the university is partnered with Surgical, which we already are, what I am assuming is that there will actually be ATMs designed for us to withdraw in terms of not being able to get all the extra charges and whatever. So if it is you feel the need to withdraw cash to move around, that is what is going to basically happen.
Thank you. Okay, we set up the room now for the closing speeches on the podium. As we set up for the podium, I thank the members of the audience for their questions, and I thank the candidates for providing those responses. Please bear with us as we head into the final stretch, which is the closing remarks from the candidates. The night is not quite over yet, but it is soon over. You're reminded again that polling day is tomorrow, commencing at 8 a.m. and polls open until 8 p.m. on the polling stations on campus. Mr. Besson, please close the remarks.
So firstly, I'd like to say thank you to everybody for coming out tonight to listen. I'd like to pick up my campaign team. You all have been amazing in ensuring that I have been, just adapting to everything that comes. I'd like to pick up the Guild Council on actually working really hard on ensuring that everything happens. Pick up Gian. But I'd just like to remind everybody that tomorrow is election day. And we voted Michael Besson all the way, yeah?
If you know me, you know that I have always been one to keep it short and sweet. This campaign season has been very, very interesting. You have heard plans and initiatives put forward by all candidates. My mandates are smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. I decide, you decide, we decide, Kville decides. Exercise your democratic right to vote for the person you want to. Vote for maintaining the standard through progression and advancement. Vote Paul, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is all.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I have multiple mandates that I want to implement if I am successful as your next president. Mandates to better socially in terms of the 24-hour extension, the gym extension, in terms of revitalizing the Guild Union, educational mandates that speaks to in terms of educating the students as to what it is that we are, what is the purpose of the Guild, what it is that we want to do. It should never ever be a case that students do not know what the Guild is. It should never ever be a case that students are unsure what it is that we are there for. And another thing too, it should never be a case where students feel unrepresented by the Guild Council. And so that is why I want to make the Guild more multifaceted, to have more events, not just social events that we would have done a lot this year, but also educational events, artistic events, outreach events. A lot of students really enjoy volunteering, so people are involved in Rotaract and Circle K and all these different initiatives. I want to pull up events that will really speak to the multitude of students, and that is how that we will get students immersed back into the Guild Council again and back into the Guild of Students. And finally, in terms of welfare, I want to assist our students our national students in terms of the Give Back opportunity. I want to register the Guild Council as an official Give Back entity, so that way students can earn an hour or two on campus. In terms of the wage opportunities, a lot of us will benefit from the extra cash. And so, if we can know where to find jobs on campus, if we can know where to find jobs off campus, if all the opportunities that OSS floods in our emails, that we know, that we actually know about these things. Because a lot of us really and truly do not check our emails as often as we should. And we miss out on all these great opportunities that I have for the Guild Council and the Guild of Students. And so I really hope and really hope and wish that you vote for me tomorrow as your Guild President.
Thank you very much, candidate. Thank you very much for your participation tonight. I'm advised that the Guild bar is open. Ladies and gentlemen, we still have one more activity, and that will be the vote of thanks. But just before we get to the vote of thanks, I want to say that I want to take a moment to pay tribute to the members of the Guild Electoral Office who are doing an exceptional job under very, very trying circumstances. So the returning officer, Mr. Hassan, Ms. Ali, Christiana Ali, nothing will get done without Christiana's intervention. Carissa Davis, the member of admin, Kyrese, who deals with it, Kyrese Scott, the finances, and Naila Wong-Taylor. These are the people who are making all of this possible to make sure that you get your opportunity to exercise your democratic right. And so I really want to take you today. I'm passing over to Ms. Walton Taylor, who will deliver the vote flash. Thank you.
We can't forget Khalil. And coming out here is a daunting task, I can only imagine. I'm not do it. But thank each and everyone, the tech team, the persons that will help us tomorrow, everyone, the committee. Thank you all. And have a great night. Candidates, please stay behind.